far into VTubing were you when you realized you could use your past work experience to get in?
Get in what?
Get it from the jump?
How far into VTubing were you when you realized you could use your past work experience to get in? Get in what? Just business strategy in? Oh, just like to get it and to get in? No, and to like understand and really... I see what you mean. Sorry, hubris for a second. I, from the get-go, was like, if I want to do this, I could do this. But I didn't go into it thinking, I'm going to try and really do this, because I was just doing it as a hobby. And I didn't care. And I thought less growth was better because it was just a hobby. And then you can literally see... You look at like my Twitch tracker. I started off just like collabing at random times and for like 2-3 hours, whatever, just playing games with friends. And then at some point I started just going boom, solo streaming. And that's when I literally sat down and said, I'm going to try to grow now. Watch this. And then I did. That was it. There was just a point where I was like, I'm going to try now. And it worked. And I don't want to say that like I'm the greatest to ever have done it or some shit like that. But there are certain things that you know you're capable of, and it's just based on your skill set. If I'm able to sit there in a room of a bunch of old dudes and tell them why they should buy this thing, why you should do this, whatever, you know, like if I can convince them of shit that they don't even know about, well, I could probably sit in front of an audience and talk to them and keep them engaged, right? It's different. I'm not really selling them on anything. I'm just sitting here and entertaining or whatever. But like, you know, the soft skills that I already had and some of the hard skills already transferred. So I was like, yeah, if I wanted to do this, there's so many parallels, I probably just could, right? So it wasn't like me thinking like, oh, I'm so good. It was more like, I think I just have the base skills to at least like have people pay attention, right? I didn't think it would get this far, but I was like, yeah, I could get partnered. I could make it happen. Like around there, you know? I was like, I could do that much. So I did. I was partnered in less than a year. You think having some initial capital or connections helped? I don't know how to start. No, because I only spent $250 on my first model, which people nowadays, I mean, it's way more expensive. That cost is like just for PNG a lot of the time. I had a very basic model that I spent $250 on, and then every other asset I made myself. So I didn't actually put starting capital into this, and I didn't have connections. I just showed up on Twitter with 0 followers and just started existing. And then I joined like a small VTuber Discord that was just for like people making friends, and I just hung out in there and met a couple of people, and we played games together, and we were all small creators, and that was it. I didn't actually have connections or anything starting out, and I still got to partner in beyond, you know, without really having any actual connections or capital put into this at all. that was me just playing games with friends of a similar size or solo streaming, and then doing like, I don't even know. Yeah, no, I made everything myself. I just opened Figma and made my own little overlays and stuff. That's all I did.
GEEGA.
No, but I did that. And then at some point I made friends with people that like were more known, but it was way later. I'd already grown by that point. I was trying to not, like if I had a chance to talk to someone who was a bigger streamer than I kind of avoided it because I didn't want to be that guy. So, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be that guy, so I stayed away from it. But yeah, how often did you stream in the beginning? Let me see. My first stream. Actually, guys, it's my... glad we're on this topic. It's my 5-year stream-iversary. Woo! Technically, it was Monday, but I've been so busy with other shit that I didn't even announce it. I just completely couldn't even, like, get anything done for it because I was just fucking so busy. But yeah, it is my stream-iversary. 5 years, dude. Actually, I should put that in the title. 5 years. You're asking if I streamed a lot in the beginning? I started on February 16th. Then I streamed on the 17th, the 18th, the 20th, the 24th, the 25th, the 28th, March 3rd, March 5th, and March 9th. I was, the schedule I'm on now, I was like almost on that schedule since the beginning and never fucking stopped. Here's the thing that shows streams by calendar day. Streams by calendar day. You want to see how even my shit is? Look at this. Look at that. Up at the top, February 2021, that's when I started. I came in at like 3, maybe 4 streams a week. And I just went boom, and I kept that shit consistent. You can see the 2 breaks I've ever taken. There was one end of January 2023. That was for my
history looked like that.
Your commit history. Right? Now I've taken 2 breaks, 2 massive breaks, and they weren't even massive. It was like 2 weeks. There's one there in right in the middle on the left. January, February 2023. That was when I got cancer for my surgery. Surgery for my cancer. Well, I got cancer, got surgery for it, right? That was then. And then in October of this year, I took like a normal break. That was it. That was the only breaks I've taken in 5 years, dude. And the early stuff was a slight, you could see like there are a couple more tiny gaps just because I was working. I still had a full-time job up until that point. I had like the first 2 rows there, basically, I had a full-time job. You know what I mean? You would have burnt out with that few breaks. Yeah, I don't really burn out. I think I'm burnout resistant because I know how to spend my day-to-day time in a way where I'll be all right. So I'm really good at keeping myself from getting to there. Not like literally incapable of burning out, but like it doesn't happen because I balance shit in a way that makes sense for me. You know? February 16th, 2021 had 2 viewers, poggers. Dude, no, my first stream, I'll tell you why I really stuck with it, especially. My first stream, I had, let's look. First stream ever, 24 average viewers, which is crazy. But back then, this was right at the beginning of 2021. Back then, if you were a VTuber and no one had seen you stream yet, they would show up to your first stream. There was a small community of like 50 to 100 or so people that would just some of them would just show up to random VTuber debuts so long as you posted on Twitter. That no longer works. That no longer works. It wasn't lucky. That was just the way the community was. Everyone who started around that time had that buff in the beginning. So it wasn't like standout luck from other people. That is literally how it worked back then. Because the community was so small. So there was a really dedicated VTuber community, and if you just showed up, there were so few people that were actually showing up trying to be VTubers at the time, because this was really early on. So you would just show up and be like, hey, I'm a new VTuber, here's what my model looks like, I'm debuting this day, and you would get like 30 people in your first stream. Now, you still had to keep them, you know, but they would show up to the first one, always. That happened for the first, I'd say for like all of 2021, it was like that. And then 2022 and beyond, it slowed down, especially 23, it slowed down. And now you don't get people showing up to random debuts just cause. But it was like that back then. So it wasn't even luck. Everyone who started at that time was able to have that buff. So instead of debuting, I just played biped with May because I met her in that like little Discord. And she was like, you want to play games together? You're fun. And I was like, okay, you're fun. You know, and then we played biped because I figured instead of debuting, I'm not here to like be a famous VTuber. I just want to play games with friends. That's what I did. So I played that with her. And then the next day, it was like the middle of the afternoon, and another friend invited me to play Left 4 Dead 2 with some random people. And I said, okay. and I didn't have meetings until late that night. So I just played in the middle of the day. And then after that, my next stream, my third stream, was playing Battle Block Theater with another friend. Then I did Tetris 99, which was my only solo stream at the time. And then I went, wow, I want to play with friends only. So then I did more biped with May, and then 2 streams of Apex with friends, and then 2 more streams of Battle Block to finish that, and then golf with friends, then Monster Hunter World with friends. So you see, it was just like all, and we were into March at that point. So my first like month or so of streaming was literally only collabs because I didn't care, you know? And I didn't do a single, except for that early one that I tried, I didn't do a single proper solo stream until, let me see, April, May 2nd, I played new Pokemon Snap. And I was like, I'm going to start a playthrough of something that I want to play, and I'm actually going to like solo stream for once. Actually, no, 20th of April, I played Tetris 99 and then Paper Mario the Origami King. And I think from there, that's when I started doing some solo shit. And I was like, I'm going to try to grow. And then I did. And then from there, as soon as I started solo streaming, okay, so May 2nd, I was at like 34 average CCV. By the end of May, or June 1st, I was at 65. That next month, I was between the 40s and the 60s, it looks like. And then over the summer, I was like staying up at like 75 or so. I was over 100 a lot of the time in like July, August, and then I got partnered that October. So yeah, just some point I was like, I'm just gonna actually sit down and do playthroughs of stuff and like try, and then it worked. That was really it. I think it worked out really well. Unexpected that it'd ever go farther than that. I thought I was gonna get to like, you know, partner, and then I was pretty certain I was gonna just stagnate right there because I was just playing like retro stuff and indie games and things, or like a lot of classic like GameCube era things. And I was like, I really don't think me just wanting to do this is gonna be that marketable, but it wasn't what I cared about, so I was just like, whatever. I was like, it'd be cool to get my username, and that was it. You know, really all I thought about at the time. But yeah, things were so different then. When did GFC start? I don't know, but I remember like around the time I got partnered was also around the time that I became friends with Moriko. It's probably sometime a little after that. Because I remember I didn't know the other girls in Girls of Sea. Here, I can go here now. I didn't know the other girls. I only knew Moriko, and she was like, hey, I'm trying to find people that want to play like older Monster Hunter. Do you want to play with some of my friends? I know you don't know them. And I was like, oh, I don't care. If you say they're cool, you know, whatever. And then I sat there and played with them, and I was like, this shit's good. We played a couple more times, and we were like, pack it up. We're doing this regularly. You know? We're doing this regularly. And it worked. But yeah, it wasn't too long after that. Maybe that winter or something. I don't know. It's hard to remember exactly when a lot of these things happen. Like some stuff I remember vaguely, some stuff I remember more specifically. But I don't know. I'm not sure. It's all kind of blended together. It's been 5 years, man. I don't know. Would you agree that over 100 viewers on a very consistent basis is when one could consider going full-time streamer? That completely depends on where you live and what your cost of living is. I would say in a lot of places, absolutely not. But do you have roommates? Are you living at home? Are you trying to support your own apartment? Like, you know, I think you need to be... Here's my take. If you want to be in any way comfortable, you got to be a 500 plus. If you want to be in any way comfortable. Now, part of me building my platform is trying to bump that down, trying to get more sponsors to people like below 500, because 500 CCV is like where the sponsors start to care about you. And I'm trying to move that down over time. Because then, yeah, people who are to grind up to 500 like that, you've got to be trying really hard like you're full time. So a lot of people don't, they get stuck in this limbo of I'm too small to go full time. I don't make the money for it. But if I want to grow to that point, I'd have to stop everything and go full time and put the time into it, right? And they just kind of get stuck there. So I'm trying to like enable that crowd that maybe could do it to be able to do it, right? Like push some sponsors down to them so maybe they could make enough to actually like maybe quit their jobs or maybe work fewer hours or something like that. But, you know, a lot of people get really stuck in that little area. I think you have to be like crazy good to be able to work full time and make it and not like quit your job to try to make it, you know, like it's tough. We're so lucky, which is honestly, it's usually not luck. It's usually opportunities that the person's able to take really well. It's genuinely like the person is just that good in most cases from what I've seen. The luck is the opportunity ever showing up, but everyone gets like one or two things in front of them at some point. It's just a matter of if they can carry that in the right way or know what to do with that opportunity. Sometimes people don't realize that something could have been good, and then later they look back when they know more and they're like, shit, I should have done more with that, huh? You know? So yeah, my whole thing is to try and bump the sponsor level, that threshold that they only like to look at, down a little, right? I think that'd be nice. It'd be good. I think getting sponsors down to smaller streamers might not change their life to go full-time on a lower basis, but it might be enough to bump occasionally to get them a bit more free time and make it up there. Yeah, right? Like it's not going to be a I'm going to save the world, I'm VTuber Jesus kind of thing. But like, you know, I can help a little, do a little enabling in a good way, right? That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Were you the one that reached out and got into smaller servers with creators, or was it by others reaching out to you? It was others reaching out to me. The first server was by this guy named Bubs. He's still around. Bubs reached out to me on Twitter. I think I replied to some post of his and was like, that's a cool idea, or whatever I said to him. And then he followed back, and at some point was like, yo, I got this little server. Do you want to join? And I went, fuck it. And, you know, there you go. And then from there, I was in that server. And while I was hanging out with some people there, it was kind of the Wild West because not everyone was there because they were already friends. It was just like people being thrown into a server that didn't know each other. So through there, I found a couple people that I thought were nice. And one of them was like, hey, we have a server of people that's like friend run, right? And we just invite people that we meet elsewhere that we're definitely cool with and pull them in. It's not like a random open invite if you want in. And I was like, okay. And that's where I met some of the people that I ended up staying good friends with, like Joel. Joel was one of my first like really good friends in the space besides May. I think May and Joel were like my first close ones that you still see around at least. And yeah, I met him in that like second server. It was just like a friends only quieter one. And yeah, there you go. But that's how like I got to know people early, really. Just by talking. Just talking. It's super tiring to try to work full time while trying to build a community. Yeah. What I did was early on, it's not sustainable anymore at this community size, which is a little sad. But what I used to do was every Sunday, was community day. So whatever I played on Sunday was always something that the chat, whoever was there, my community, could interact with, whether it be hopping into like lobbies of whatever I'm playing or just something that they could in some way influence. Like we're playing a game and I'm having a poll every time there's a decision point and letting chat choose or, you know, something like that. It was always like a community oriented game. And that was really nice. But you can only do that when you're a tiny streamer because as you get larger, all of that stuff is just like, you know, you have 1,000 people in your chat and you're in a Mario Kart lobby that lets 16 people in, you know, you know, like it starts to feel unsustainable at a point. Yeah, we played community Valheim. We had a community Valheim server that I was playing on extensively, right? We were doing the bosses every Sunday and, you know, most of the people that were active in the community were playing on the server because the community was small, right? So it was very doable at the time. Unfortunately, that stuff gets super unsustainable, but I still like stuff like that. And I think anyone who's like a small streamer should really do that if they can. It was fun. That was like my favorite stuff. Genuinely. So I think folks underestimate the amount of pull you can get just from being like a genuine person who's chill. You know what I realized over time? I only realized this retroactively talking to people about like what it was like when they met me or, you know, those types of conversations. What I realized was I was just hanging out, but a lot of other folks were like trying to be a content creator, be a VTuber. And this included when they weren't on stream. So they would be in VC hanging out and let's say you're a snake girl, right? You're a VTuber that's a snake girl. And someone says something and then you're like, haha, yeah, like my scales. And people were like just RPing in the VC a little bit, you know? And the thing is, sometimes there's like, I'm just funny RPing. And then other times they're like, hey, I just want you to remember my brand because I'm really trying to grow out here. And when people felt that latter energy, people would be like, ooh, you know? Because they were just trying to connect with people genuinely, right? And they were like, oh. So yeah, if it was just like funny RP, it'd be one thing, but the vibe of it was not always right. And I think that was kind of the issue with a lot of people. And then they would be like, I don't get why everyone doesn't want to be my best friend. And I'd be like, I could feel that you're trying to self-promote to me and I'm just trying to hang out right now. It's after stream. I'm just chilling, you know? I think that kind of had some people hamstring themselves. I think they were well-meaning, but you know, it's how it goes. That's just how it goes. But yeah. So that's kind of like not the way to do it. Not the way to do it early on. So in talking to friends retroactively, there were some of them that were, I think Joel was one of the ones that I asked because he was already like kind of established VTuber. I think really early on, he was one of the biggest names there was. And I asked him, I was like, how come you befriended me out of like everyone that was there? Like, how come you know? And he was like, because you were normal. That's what he said to me. He was like, you were normal and you weren't trying to promote. And you were not like begging me for collabs. You literally didn't ask me for anything. You just wanted to hang out. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. But I always thought about that. I was like, why is he friends with me? You know, of all people. But yeah, you just got to be a chill guy, man. Just got to be a chill guy. That's really it, I guess. I don't know, man. But yeah, that was how all my early shit did. For those curious askers. That was it, man. And now 5 years later, look at me. Snake woman. Look at me now. Now I'm John VTubing. Creating a platform so maybe some more people can go full time or something. Thank you. Thank you. That's it, man. That's it. I grew a tail and started hissing. There you go. I don't know, man. I think 5 years is a long time. 5 years is a long time. But at the same time, most of you haven't been here 5 years. It's kind of just me and a few handfuls, you know, like most people have a life cycle for how long they stay with the creator. So while I go, oh my God, it's been so long. For a lot of you, it's just been like a year or two. Some of you just got here. A lot of you just got here. So it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy, you know? What? Person discovers person with different opinions than them.